Welcome back to the Morning Mindset. I hope you're ready today to get your minds aligned with the truth of God. We've got to do this every single day of our lives, and I hope that it doesn't become wearisome to you. I hope you don't think of it that way. I hope you think of it as a wonderful opportunity of grace that God gives us each and every day to take the time to clear our head, to take a deep breath, and to reset our compass for the day so that we can be headed in the right direction. I want to help you with that today in 1 Peter chapter 4. But before we do, I want to invite you to something. I want to invite you to receive some additional content from me. I've created some special thank you sort of episodes for those who become partners with the Morning Mindset. You can find out more at careygreen.com/partners. And I would greatly appreciate it if you do. You can also find that link in the description of this episode. We are looking at 1 Peter chapter 4. We're in verse number 7 today. And Peter says, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. Let's pause for a moment and let's consider something that's a little bit difficult, but something we need to kind of get our brain around. Peter, who lived in the first century, okay, that was 20 centuries ago. We're now in the 21st century. Peter says, the end of all things is at hand. Now, that's kind of an eminent sounding phrase, isn't it? Like it's just right around the corner. That's how Peter viewed it. Peter saw the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ as the turning point in history. And that somewhere right around the corner was the very end of all things. All of history is what it sounds like he's talking about. So how do we reconcile that here 21 centuries later? Well, we need to understand, first of all, that the way God sees things is the way of reality, not the way that we see things. You see, we can get so trapped in our human perspective, seeing through these human eyes into a physical world, that we can forget that there's a whole lot going on that we never see. It's kind of like a 3-year-old in the back seat of the car. You know, they hear the road noise and they hear the music going on that the parents are playing, and they see things flashing by the windows, but they don't see everything that's going on in that trip. Same thing is true of us. We don't see everything that's going on. And so we don't know exactly when the end of all things is coming. We don't know the length of time. We don't know how all that fits together. But we can know the one who does. Our God, who's the one, so to speak, driving the car, knows that the end of all things is coming. And as Peter says, it is at hand. So we can trust God's perspective in this. That when Peter says the end of all things is at hand, it doesn't exactly mean what we would think it would mean. And yet, Peter's point is that because we are moving into the end times in this thing we call history, there are certain ways we should behave. And Peter says, therefore, we need to be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of our prayers. So he says 3 things here that are very vital for us to understand. First of all, we're to be self-controlled. He just referred to this in the previous section when he says we are to have a mindset that enables us to not give in to temptation, not give in to the allure of the old crowd we used to run with. He says we're to be sober-minded, so clear in our way of thinking. And he says we're to be both of those things for the sake of our prayers. My friends, did you realize your prayers matter that much? You're to be self-controlled and sober-minded so that you can pray better. You see, that's something that was kind of lost on me for a long time. I didn't understand that God puts that big of an emphasis on prayer. And my friends, I think that as the days draw to an end, as the age is coming to a close, our prayers probably matter even more, and that's the point Peter's making. So I encourage you today, become a prayer warrior. Keep your mind self-controlled and sober so that you can pray more clearly according to God's will. And I believe that as you and I are able to do that, we will shine even more brightly in this dark world. Thank you, my friends, for joining me today. Why don't you tell a friend and join me again tomorrow?